Welcome to Wanderlusting Lawyer. I am your host, the Wanderlusting Lawyer, and some people have been asking me how Cashew is doing, so I thought he could make an appearance today. He is ready for Easter this weekend, and happy holidays to whatever you celebrate around the world. Say hi to everyone, Cashew. He is such a good sport. He tolerates all the bandanas, all the bunny ears, all the Christmas hats. Say hi, guys. All right, so today, in keeping with my questions, my Camino question of the week series, I wanted to talk about something I haven't really seen anybody talk about before, and maybe you have questions on, that is alcohol on the Camino de Santiago. And I had this, just alcohol generally on the brain because after my wife and I got back from our month in France and Spain over the holidays, where we had at least a drink pretty much every day with a meal as a cultural thing, we decided to go alcohol-free for the whole month of February. And my wife is still alcohol-free. She was pretty badly injured fairly recently, and so just with the recovery and everything, she's not drinking right now. I've only had a handful of drinks. I do love beer, and I also love like prosecco and champagne and things, but I found some good substitutes. I'm just doing it for health reasons, feeling good, getting a lot done. I have this channel that I love. I'm an attorney. I have other side businesses, things like that, so I'm pretty busy. But I'm somebody that I think appreciates the flavor of alcohol. So, it's something that comes up on the Camino, so I just thought I'd make a video about it. So Spain is known for wine, I'd say. If you ask anybody, like, what's the alcohol that you associate with Spain, I think most people would say wine. And they have excellent wine, don't get me wrong, especially the Rioja, the red wine in the Rioja region. I remember a glass was 90 euro cents. But I really like the white wine in Spain too, especially in Galicia. They have, I think it's 3 different types of white wine, ranging from driest to sweetest. I just love all the wine in Spain, actually. But yes, Spaniards are really known, maybe not known, but in general, they are big beer drinkers, much bigger beer drinkers than at least my experience in France. And so I'm an IPA drinker myself, love IPAs, love that like craft style, hoppy beer taste. Pretty tough to find in Spain. There are a couple of brands, I think it's a Scottish brand called Brewdog that you can find sort of throughout Europe. But I love Spanish beer. And if I could find beer like this in the States, I probably would drink IPAs definitely less. So basically, these beers, I had to look it up to make sure I was describing it correctly, but they're light, golden, or Pilsner style lagers. So a lager, but lighter, but like way, way, way better than a Miller Lite or a Coors Light or a Budweiser or any of those types of beers. Just like totally delicious. I don't know how to explain it. I love them. It's like something is amazing about these beers. And my favorites, so if you can find Cruz Campo, Cruzcampo, that is my favorite. I think I'm partial to, because that is the beer like in probably the most popular beer in Andalusia, especially in Sevilla. There's also, I think it's Alhambra, which you'll find more in Granada and some of those places, but Cruz Campo is my absolute favorite. So especially if you're doing the Via de la Plata that leaves from Sevilla, you have to find Cruz Campo. Like, and when I say the alcohol is affordable, aka cheap, at least for North Americans in Spain, like, actually, here's a pro tip. If you're in Sevilla, like 2 blocks away from where the Camino starts next to the cathedral, there's a place called Cien Montaditos. So like 100 cien and then montaditos. They make these tiny little sandwiches. It's a chain throughout Spain. I absolutely love them. But even if you don't eat there, they sell a jarra, a big mug of beer, of Cruz Campo, I think, for €3. euros. I mean, it's the best deal in the city when it comes to beer, but super delicious. Love Cruzcampo. In Galicia, you're mostly going to see Estrella Galicia, Star Galicia, which is also delicious. Love that. And then you might also see Mahou, Mahou. It's a beer from Madrid, but it's pretty common. I think it's pretty common in a lot of Spain, except for these areas that have like a very specific local beer. All delicious, all worth a try if you drink. And what's interesting is I find that I tend to feel less of the buzz effect or like maybe like less quickly with alcohol in Europe. I don't know if it has fewer added things. I'm not sure, but let me know if you've experienced the same thing. My wife also agreed. She said when we drink in France and when we were in Spain, she had the same experience. So like I said, yeah, alcohol is significantly cheaper. Even shots. So I remember when I was 20 years old and studying abroad, we would get tequila shots and they were like €1. The only thing that is gonna cost you money, significant money, is cocktails. If you find like a fancier place that has cocktails, or copas. So a copa is basically, it's a mixed drink, but it's not like a fancy cocktail. It's basically just one mixer and one type of booze. So like a rum cola or a, what else people drink? Gin and tonic, things like that. Spaniards love gin and tonics, by the way. You'll also see alcohol, typically wine, on the pilgrims menus. So I made a video talking about these. You have so there's the pilgrims menus, and then there's the menú del día, which tends to be a little bit more expensive, maybe a few more options, higher quality, but it's like a first plate, an appetizer but bigger, then your main meal, your dessert, your bread, and then usually water plus another drink. So you can do, sometimes it's like a glass of wine, sometimes it's a half bottle of wine. What else? Like sodas, tea, coffee, different options. So that's usually in there. So that's a pretty good deal. On the Camino, I don't think I ever drank wine before I was done walking for the day, but I definitely had beer, especially on the more recent Caminos, like at lunchtime, it just gave me, I guess, fuerza for the second half of my walk. But I will say it is totally acceptable to see, or at least commonplace to see, people having beer at 10 in the morning. I mean, it kind of makes sense. If you've been up walking since maybe 5:30 or 6, you're kind of ready for something really cool and refreshing. And that's what I love about these Spanish beers. They're so cool and refreshing, but actually still have really good flavor. I also want to say, though, it is totally acceptable if you don't drink alcohol. I never saw that being a problem. I can't particularly remember anyone saying, hey, like, I don't drink, but I don't recall it ever being an issue. I have Spanish friends that don't drink, and there are plenty of other options. Like I said, on the Pilgrims menus, there's almost always like Coke, Sprite, or drinks like that. Fanta is what they have. So orange soda or lemon soda. Which, by the way, those mixed with red wine is very popular, especially in the south of France. It's basically like sangria, but with fewer ingredients. They call it tinto de verano, summer wine. It's very, very refreshing. But yeah, if you don't drink, definitely be on the lookout too for something called Aquarius. Kind of like aquarium, but Aquarius, and I don't think there's a C. I don't know. Anyway, it's basically the version of Gatorade or Powerade, the electrolyte drink, which is really delicious. You can find it in pretty much any supermarkets or like little convenience stores or anything like that. And I also want to say, don't be surprised if you never get carded. I don't know if I've ever seen anyone get carded in Spain. Technically, the legal age to drink is 18, but I never ever saw anybody get asked. So if you are, whatever age you are, follow the rules that you think you should follow, but just know that, I don't think I've ever seen anybody get carded in Spain, let alone on the Camino, let alone in Spain. There we go. So that's just I thought this was going to be brief. How did this turn into 9 minutes? But I just wanted to give some insight into sort of the drinking culture on the Camino. Oh, I did want to mention this. Yeah, so I really don't recall ever seeing anybody totally drunk, wasted on the Camino. I always think of that scene from The Way where Tom, right, Martin Sheen, gets hammered on his afternoon wine and then passes out. I never saw that. I have no doubt that it happens. And I mean, I haven't been on the Camino Francés except for when I finished the Aragonés in Puente la Reina. And I was staying in an albergue that kind of had like an outdoor bar and stuff. I mean, I think you might see groups of friends that, you know, really are prioritizing partying on the Camino. I think that's like a bummer, but I personally did not see anybody that was like drunk and causing problems. I'm sure it's happened. If you have a story, please share it down below. I would say the most I ever drank was actually the last night before walking into Santiago. Think we were staying maybe like 22 kilometers out, and just a big group of us, we found like a cool bar restaurant, and we just hung out for like 4 hours, and it was awesome because in July it's sunny out until 10:30 p.m. But it was just fun. Like we had lunch, we had dinner there, we had drinks. It was just such a good time, such a great last night. But I never saw anybody get obnoxiously drunk. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I was really happy to see that it really wasn't a problem. And I don't know if that has to do with, like I said, something about the alcohol being less strong, or if it's just kind of that Camino magic, the oxygen you're getting all day long. But I also never experienced a hangover on the Camino, so that was wonderful. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I hope this was helpful. Like I said, totally fine if you don't want to drink. There will be plenty of people, I'm sure, that are not drinking for one reason or another. A lot of other great drink options. And yeah, I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you guys soon. Buen camino.